Hello and welcome to Geoscope here on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes and I'm joined, as always, on Geoscope by Ollie Bowlerhatman. How you doing, Ollie? You
All
all right,
right,
mate?
I'm fine. I'm doing well.
You're doing well.
Yeah,
Better
very
than
hot today.
America's doing. It's hot
Well,
today, is it?
yeah,
Is it? Is it?
it's a bit warm. It's a
Is
bit
it?
warm.
Oh, mate, you're doing better than I am. I'm freezing up here, up proper north.
I know.
Another hour on the train from you. I'm wearing my bloody hoodie. It's bloody freezing. Anyway, big shout out to everyone in the chat. Scott, Pete's Music, Joanna, Anne, One Angry Pagan, Joanna again. We've got Paul, we've got Richard, we've got Person Impersonator, and Chris C. Trip. Got loads of people in the chat tonight. Hello everyone. How you all doing? If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. None of my buttons are working. What do I do, Ollie? What do you do when your buttons aren't working? There you go. Subscribe. Subscribe again. Subscribe. Okay, so I don't know why this program is currently using 88% of my memory. I'm going to stop the Geoscope globe from rotating, and hopefully that will free up some memory so that we can have a decent show. Pause. Yeah, there you go. The Geoscope globe is now paused. Right, before we crack on, we just got a super chat from John C. Thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Great video, Germ. Graham, thanks for sharing. Powerful song and performance by Kate Nash. Please like and share, everyone. Yes, please do, because two reasons. One, it was a bloody nightmare to film. I was right at the back, and you know there's like torture where you have to have your hands above your head for as long as you can, like holding something.
Oh,
and you get to the point where your hand's like this and all the blood's run out of it. It was basically that, because she had this big preamble before she started singing the song Germs at Glastonbury. And yeah,
that's why you need a pole or something to hold.
Well, no, I had my flag. I was holding my flag as well, so I had sort of the flag in my left hand, my camcorder in my right hand. And
you should have attached it to your flag. You could have attached
it wouldn't have attached. It wouldn't have attached. It was this camera. It's just the camera that I'm using now. So yeah, there was a point where I'm like, I'm gonna have to change hands here. So I'm trying to juggle with one hand with the other. So I was like,
this is what I do on my morning walk. So I start off with one hand and then I get tired.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that was if I had the camera to cut away to, it would have been. Yeah. Anyway, so thanks very much, John C, for that super chat. That's very kind of you. Super chats are open. Oh, we got another one. We haven't even said anything yet. Graham is cool, says Darren Christian. I am. Although Cat's closed the window, so it might actually get a bit warmer in here now. I don't know.
Yeah, this is it. You start off cool, and by the end of it, you just be like, "I'm just take my hoodie on."
yeah, like a sauna. So yeah, we've got loads to talk about today. At the end of the show, we'll be shunting everyone over to Maximilian's feed, so please stick with us for that. But we're going to be talking about Trump condemning 12 million Americans to a painful demise by taking away their Medicare. Isn't that nice, Ollie? Isn't that nice of him?
That's not going to cause any upset in America, is it? It's not going to cause any upset in America. I mean, we saw the absolute, tantrum that the OAPs threw when the rich pensioners told they were losing their fuel allowance. Imagine what the uproar is going to be in America when they lose Medicaid.
I don't think you know what? I don't think they're gonna care. I had this discussion with Mikey last night, and he doesn't believe me. But some of the people that I've met are just so crazed about Trump. Like they proper love him, Ollie. Like properly, like you love your partner or your kids or your parents. Do you know what I mean? Like it's beyond reason, and I think they will die happy people in pain, screaming, but happy.
No, I'm with Mikey on this one. I think when he's like that gets told, oh yeah, he's cutting Medicaid, I think at that point, that's when he's going to lose a lot of support. I think that's when he loses a lot of support in that, because there's one thing that even OAP Republicans like, and that's Medicare and Medicaid. They've said that very clearly to the Republicans every single time. Do not touch that.
Well,
So
they
I
managed to
think there's going to
get
be some big consequences for that.
they managed to get the bill through the lower house last month by one vote, and now they've just got it past the upper house by one vote. It was a 50-50 split. So JD Vance as vice president had the deciding vote. The Republican holdout was Lisa Murkowski, who she flipped after intense pressure and possibly, I don't know, some carrot and stick. Rand Paul, Tom Tillis, and Susan Collins voted against the bill. But now it returns to the lower chamber, the House of Representatives, and the GOP can only afford to lose 3 votes. One of the things that was dropped from it, though, Ollie, just as a big FU to Elon Musk, along with the getting rid of any subsidies towards electric cars and any help to Tesla. They had a thing in that AI couldn't be touched for 10 years. They weren't allowed to make any legislation about AI for 10 years. And that's been dropped now. So, what's his name? Musk has spat his dummy out the pram.
Oh,
he's lost the shit.
God, should we start off with that? Because I put that on our list of things to talk about. Because this was one of the things I think we were all hoping would happen, like the fallout between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Because we all thought that when it happens, it was going to be an absolute, feast for the eyeballs, and it really is really starting to be that way so far.
Yeah,
it really is.
I mean, this is round 2 because they had the falling out, didn't they, in the White House. But there's a part of me that thinks somewhat cynically that this is all a bit stage managed and it's all, pantomime, WrestleMania, like just kind of having a villain to boo. And people go, yeah, Trump's bad, but Elon Musk is worse. Or, oh, no, I like Elon. I think Trump's... And it's... Yeah, I think it's scripted. I think it's all set up.
I don't know. I think Elon's... I think that relationship is bridge burnt. I think it's very, very much...
That was $200 million well spent, wasn't it? Or however much it was. So yeah, he's upset. Those corporations and top earners, it makes these tax cuts that Trump brought in 2017. It makes them permanent.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to sustain them.
Yeah, brings in a devastating cuts to Medicaid, to SNAP, which is a food assistance program, and to any semblance of clean energy. 85% of investment in energy in America at the moment is going towards clean energy, and that's all going to be wiped out. And they reckon it's going to add $650 billion a year to the deficit. And Elon Musk has said that Republicans should hang their heads in shame, and he's going to set up the America Party.
Yeah,
have you heard about this?
Oh yeah, this will be fun with Musk. Well, honestly, the thing is, Musk has like the money to do it. Musk is like the billionaire that could actually set up another party to sort of try and challenge the Republicans. He's got the money to do it. Whether he will be able to actually make it and create it and make it work, that's another question. But he's got money to just pour into this.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes. We'll keep an eye on this. But he's not alone, because we've just had 2 new parties launch very recently, or one is yet to launch, but one's just been launched today.
Yeah. Just as we were going to air, by the way, I know this is Geoscope and we talk about international politics, but the welfare bill has passed, but with some massive last-minute concessions, including the dropping of everything to do with PIP. So there's going to be no reform of it. There's going to be no one in the future who, as things stand, who is going to have any PIP taken away that they haven't already got, and new claimants will not be getting less PIP until they've done a thorough investigation into what that should be done, which is going to come back as get fuck off with your 4-point plan, you nutters. So yeah, it passed with a majority of 75. It's only the second reading. It's still got a long way to go. But yes, just Ollie, like,
yeah, it's just like,
what is it? What's wrong with these people? Why can't they just do anything right?
This honestly, this has just been a complete and absolute shambles. Honestly,
yes, it has.
From start to finish. But honestly, good on like those Labour politicians for standing up and holding this to account. Because I kept on saying this, and I get a lot of comments all the time saying, what about that? That progressive majority you talked about. Well, there you go. It's there. But good on those Labour MPs for doing that and standing up and really sort of taking a stand on this issue. They really do deserve a lot of credit on that. And as I always say when it comes to sort of things like this, if one of those Labour MPs was your MP, write to them. Like, really seriously, well and truly, if one of your MPs was the one who stood up against this, write to them and say, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah.
That is really, really, really big that you can do. And you can even do it even quicker by sending an email if you want. If you go to, what is it, write to my MP?
Theyworkforyou.com.
That's it. They work for you. That's it. They work for you. It gives you address, everything you need to do. If you want to send an email, even gives you a template how to do it.
Yeah.
Like I say,
or you can use some AI to write it for you as well. We've got a question in from Chris C. A point of order, nonetheless. Wants to know, Ollie, where's the fez? There it is. There it is. So thank you very much, Chris C, for the fizz bowler, the bowler fez.
There you go. Put the fez on.
And then GHK, £2 super chat there. The bill will end the Republicans or the country. GHK, I was just coming to that actually. So Ollie, Trump celebrated this bill in a Florida detention center. That's where he's been celebrating. Unfortunately, he's not in the detention center in a cell, which would be nice. Yeah. Never mind. He says there's something for everyone. No, there's nothing for anyone who's not a multimillionaire. And the deadline is still maybe July the 4th. This was an arbitrary deadline that he just set up for no good reason, except it's Independence Day in America. So is GHK right? Is this the GOP's suicide note? Is this the end of the Republican Party? I mean, how many working class Trump voters will notice their healthcare vanishing?
I think they will. I think this is just so many of these poor Republican states rely on SNAP, especially like old Americans. They rely on Medicare and Medicaid. Like, they are going to feel it. They are going to feel it, and the one who took it away from them is Donald Trump. They might not realize it now, but there'll be consequences for this. Like, mark my words, there will be consequences for this. The midterms are happening next year. There will be consequences. You aren't going to be able to sustain those tax cuts. So some of the Democrats are going to have to say, right, we're going to undo those tax cuts because literally America just cannot afford them. And they're going to have to be sort of, undone, which, again, big bonus for whoever comes next. We're also probably going to be looking at certainly maybe towards the end of 2026, something that I think is worth having a conversation about at some point, maybe later down the line. Who takes over from Donald Trump? Because there's going to be a succession battle. Like, this is one of the things that's going to be quite interesting.
It's going to be Eric or Don Jr.
Oh no. Oh no, Eric. I think, is it Eric that's put his hat into the ring?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's about as charismatic as a wet paper bag.
Yeah, Steve Bannon's putting his hat into the ring.
JD
Vance, JD Vance is putting his hat into the ring.
Steve Bannon. There was an interview I saw with Anthony Scaramucci, and he was saying, Steve Bannon's a very clever man. He's good at manipulating people. He's good at getting what he wants. But proof there is a God, he was born unfeasibly ugly. So yeah, he's not going to be president anytime soon.
Well, I don't know. Hey, it's not the fact that, it's just the fact that, honestly, the succession fight that we will probably see in the coming years is going to be brutal. And again, it's going to be a joy to watch.
Well, it's going to be more fucking WrestleMania, isn't it? So the other thing that might happen here is, right, so it's going back to the House, and one of the people who voted for it without actually reading it was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, of course.
Karen, of course. We had a Karen at Glastonbury, We got in and we were watching the guy from Credence, and we were at the front. There's like a little front section, to stop the whole crowd from pushing forward. It's sectioned off, and you just walk in on the side. It's fine. And there's loads of people sitting at the barrier behind them, not the front barrier, but the back barrier. And they put down a chair and they'll sit on the chair, right? So you can sort of still see the screens, and you're not sitting on the floor. People aren't tripping over you. Anyway, so there's loads of people. Must be about like 50 people sitting down. And then me and Kat, we find the gap. There's like loads of space, right? And I put one chair down, and this woman comes over to us and goes, "No, don't you put that there! Don't even think about it!" And I'm like, we're both quite tall. This is a little tiny Karen woman. We're both quite tall. I mean, isn't it better that we sit down and then you'll be able to see better? No. You're not allowed to have them within 10 meters of the barrier. And I'm like, yeah, that's the front barrier, not the back barrier. We're at the back. No one cares. Look at all these people. And she was proper going like mental at us, which, have you ever seen The Rain? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was, but that was just before Pulp came on. So after Pulp came on, I didn't care anymore. But like a Karen at Glastonbury. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she voted for this bill in the lower house when the first reading, second reading, whatever. And she then read it, or had someone tell her about this bit about AI not being regulated for 10 years. And he said, if I knew that was in it, I wouldn't have voted for it. But now it's been taken out, so she's more likely to vote for it. But a lot of the holdouts haven't had a problem with them taking Medicare away from their constituents. They haven't taken enough Medicare away from their constituents. Yeah. They haven't taken enough SNAP programs away, nutrition programs away from their constituents. This big bollocks bill isn't horrible enough. It needs to be more horrible. But it's going to go to the lower house now. Possibly get some more amendments, whatever. And it needs to go through that again before it goes to the president's desk. But Elon Musk might be the big curveball in all this, because he said that if anyone votes for it, he's going to fund the primary challenges against all of them. So is he going to torpedo the bill?
Well, will he go through with it this time? Because remember, he's done this before. The last time there was a bill, but he didn't follow through on it. So we'll see if he actually follows through on his threat this time. Yeah, and that if he is going to make this American People's Party. Like I say, we watch and wait with anticipation and glee, quite frankly, at what happens here. But make no mistake, just if you remember, what was that? I think it was a couple of months ago. The Republicans were doing all those town halls, where they were outraged about Doge, and it was all the pushback coming from these people because they didn't like what was happening with Doge and sort of Elon Musk. So I think we are probably going to see that scale of, rebellion in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go to these Republicans are going to start doing these town halls, and they are going to get absolutely raked through the coals.
Well, I hope so. I do hope so. Tommy Lee, I've got some love coming from Tommy Lee for my episode that did about WrestleMania. Oh, cheers, mate. David said, to be fair, he never said it was something good. And then Paul is saying, do we really think that the midterms will happen? I don't. I mean, I think this bill's going to get through. I just don't think it's going to get derailed. And even if it does, it'll be back in some form or another. They'll get these tax cuts for the rich. And all I do is just go, I don't have magic tea leaves to read or crystal balls or whatever. I've just got an idea that what the billionaires want, that's what's going to happen. And nine times out of 10, I'm right, because the thing happens because that's what the billionaires want to happen. And that's why we've got to fight so hard against these motherfuckers, because they're destroying everything that we know and love. They really are. As much fun as it is to watch them fight amongst themselves, and as you said about Musk, I mean, he helped win over the libertarians for Trump. Libertarians didn't like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
They turned against him, especially after January the 6th. And he's furious at the cuts to EV cars, to the V in EV stands for vehicle, so EVs, and the green subsidies. It hurts Tesla, which is his bread and butter, isn't it? Trump's been threatening to also withdraw funding for Starlink and SpaceX and other federal funded programs that Musk is in charge of. And in response, he's threatened to launch his own political party called the America Party. He's called the bill fiscally obscene. Sounds like something that you type into Pornhub. And he says he'll back any challenges against any GOP member who supports this. The question I've got to ask is, does Trump or Musk actually believe in anything? Or do they just opinions change at the wind?
I think Trump will just go with whatever idea he thinks is best, regardless of where it comes from. And then Musk is, again, he's just an ideas person that wants to sound smart. So he'll listen to some certain opinions, but then he'll just go with that opinion.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens from there. Like I say, this fallout, there is not enough popcorn in the world to watch, to sit back and watch this fallout that's going to happen, because it's only just going to escalate even more from here now. Quite frankly, it is just going to go absolutely, balls to the wall crazy now. Quite frankly.
Yeah. GHK says Marco Rubio is mad enough to beat JD Chancer. Maybe GHK. I can't like Marco Rubio.
Rubio's is not charismatic enough at all.
Little Marco. No, but the thing is, he's not Uncanny Valley, and JD Vance and all of those motherfuckers like Pete Hegseth and that what's the name of that horrible man who's had like loads and loads of plastic surgery and now his eyeballs are like really close to each other. He's got like a little tiny face, and he's got like a massive forehead. He was at the
Charlie Kirk.
No, well, it could be him. No, it was. He's actually a politician. He's a proper politician, and he's just had loads of plastic surgery. He looks like a fucking weirdo, proper Uncanny Valley. It looks like AI, created by AI. Jane says it's for Trump. It's all about kudos and grift. He's a void vessel. Otherwise, according to top psychiatrist, he doesn't believe in anything. He used to give money to the Democrats. He used to regard himself as a Democratic voter. And Anne says Rubio isn't completely off-putting as JD, but he's a bit short on the old charisma. Yeah, I agree, Anne. But I think what might happen is when people turn on Trump, and I don't mean his base because I don't think they ever will, but those voters in the middle, that sort of 10% that could go one way or the other, when they turn on Trump, they'll see someone like him who isn't the Trump continuation candidate as like a sensible offer. You know how like Long Bailey, Rebecca Long Bailey in the UK is seen as the continuity Corbyn.
It depends, because I still think there is a civil war in the Republican Party that has to happen as well. Like, before any sense can be restored to, like, well, again, we say sense in very big quotation marks. Like, there is going to be this big succession crisis in like after towards the end of 2026.
Yeah,
there will be some big succession crisis. who takes over from Trump, who gets the nomination. That is going to be an absolute bloodbath, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Mudslinging central to the max, the stuff that will get thrown about. And then, if we're lucky, something will kick off in the Republican Party, because there might be maybe a, quote, again, big quotation marks, sensible Republican.
You could really do with a bit of luck, mate. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, like you might get someone just stand up and say, right, enough is enough. You know, Trump's a loser. He failed. He's, maybe Chris Christie. Maybe Chris Christie might be the one who saves the Republican Party, because he's ran on this ticket before about being like the anti-Trump vote, the fact that Trump's failed as a president. He was never able to pass his agenda. A lot of his ideas have been sort of destroyed. And he did pick up a little bit of resonance and little bit of steam last time around. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Like I say, it's the next couple of years are going to be very interesting to watch what happens in the Republican Party.
Interesting, dispiriting. The thing is, I always regard like conservatives and that side of politics is just like, the T1000 that just clips back together. No matter how many times you think they're on their fucking knees, like they're never going to win again. Like, honestly, looking at the demographics, there's no reason why the Republicans should have ever won another election. But unfortunately, I was watching something about, they were talking, I mentioned this on the show, on one of the shows the other day, that actually Gen Z, or Generation Z, are split in two, and there's the ones that were living with their parents through COVID and the ones that weren't. And the ones that were living with their parents through COVID are more likely to be right wing, and the ones that weren't are more likely to be left wing. I find it's really interesting. I mean, it's not everyone, not all Gen Zers. Okay, so let's crack on with the Peace Prize. So Donald Trump's been nominated for a Peace Prize by Pakistan.
Yeah. Although, rather controversially in Pakistan, it started a big conversation whether they should actually be putting him forward for one or not.
Well, because hours later, he then dropped massive bombs on Iran, which is the next door neighbor of Pakistan.
Yeah.
And so the Pakistani PM, Shahbaz Sharif, he actually, he apologized to Iran. I think he called them up and said, "Oh, sorry about that."
Yeah.
And there's been a lot
because they've actually got quite a good relationship.
Yes.
Pakistan and Iran actually do have some sort of quite a good relationship. Mainly it's just sort of diplomatic ties. They both don't like India. So, to Pakistan, that's like, hey, that's good. If you don't like India, we don't like India. Let's get on that front. So they've been very, very happy to sort of be friends with Iran for a number of years just based on that alone. Yeah. But the fact that now Trump's gone ahead and bombed Iran, they've gone, well, Trump, quote, did, again, help us in big air quotes here, because we've got to go back to why Pakistan is nominating Trump in the first place. And you may remember just a couple of weeks ago, India and Iran were sort of looking maybe at entering into another war on this. And this is something where, again, America, from what we don't know the full background of what really went on, this could be like something we find out in like a couple of years' time, like what exactly happened. But we know that, again, the Americans came in, whether it would have been the diplomats there in the ground, or whether, again, someone with some sense sort of came in and sort of managed to sort of calm things down. And of course, Trump's taken credit for it. But that seems to be what's happened. The Americans actually helped to defuse that situation. And again, we don't know what that means when they say Americans. It could be the American diplomats in the ground on Pakistan, could be someone in the foreign, in their version of the Foreign Office, that's managed to sort things out. Probably not Marco Rubio.
Yeah, probably not
in that regard. But yeah, they are sort of have said in the past that, oh yeah, it was the Americans, but again, what they mean by that,
yeah.
don't know.
Can you broker peace and fucking blow the shit out of another country in the same weekend?
Yeah.
But there was a peace deal this in the last week as well between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. A peace deal or minimal heist, one of the two. Look,
yeah,
Trump is taking
I think
credit
this
for
is a
this.
non-peace deal. I really do. I really think this is an absolute non-peace deal.
He said the quiet bit out loud. He said, "We're getting a lot of the minimal rights."
Yep.
Jesus. Paula Thomas, thank you so much for the £2. Pakistan is where the Taliban was founded. Yep, and it's where Osama bin Laden was found. And you're quite right, Paula Thomas. It's a strange world we're living in at the moment, I've got to say. But yeah, this the Rwanda DRC peace deal was brokered by the US and Qatar, and it's led to there's going to be a formal withdrawal of Rwandan troops, which Ollie aren't really officially there. This is like the little green men in Ukraine, and
this is why I just think it's a non-starter.
They said, "Oh, there's no Rwandan troops there." Okay, you'll sign this to say they're all going to leave. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a non-starter because remember, this whole conflict dates back to the 1994 genocide. This is where all these roots come from. There's nothing in the peace deal that addresses the root causes of that genocide. There's nothing set aside for like normalization, maybe like reparations or anything like that to try and
stop it from happening again,
tone down those tensions. Exactly. There's nothing like that in that deal at all. So
it needs to be.
This is just bound to happen again at some point. Just absolutely bound to re-erupt again later down the road at some point. And it is basically Trump has gone, you've got a lot of minerals, we've got the money. We'll invest in you if you call a peace deal. And they've just gone, okay, but it solved none of the underlying issues.
Dr. Dennis Murkowski said it was rewarding aggression. And yeah, you're right. It's a vague agreement. It's just like, we'll withdraw these troops who aren't even there, love. You're right. No normalization of relations. No firm establishment of demarcation boundaries. No reparations, as you said, or recognition of Rwanda's role
war crimes,
in all the shit that's going on. No accountability. Peace in exchange for resources.
Peace in our time.
Peace. Yeah. How many coups and wars have the West solved by paying off both sides? I just don't think it ends well.
No. Maybe again, if you want to look at maybe this a little bit optimistically, maybe this is like a 10-year piece.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like a 10-year piece. But no, this does not solve any of the underlying issues that caused this conflict in the first place. So doesn't even address the militias either. So how do you solve all those militias that aren't responsible for the government? It's just peace deal.
Just to go back to Trump again, unfortunately. So one of the things that the Supreme Court said last week, along with the fact that anything that the president does is fine with them, and no court in the country can bring in a nationwide moratorium on a particular piece of shit that's come out of his office as an executive order. He's also said that he can send them anywhere. Like refugees, he can send them anywhere in the world. That's fine. They don't give a shit. There's no, without due process, because fuck the Constitution. But Socialix in the chat is saying, people realize what this means, right? Trump now has funds to build multiple ICE militias and expand concentration camps like Alligator Alcatraz in Florida across the country. Yep. Chris C saying that an elderly gentleman near him was waiting for the bus and collapsed in the heat, which is awful.
Ooh.
Again, climate change. There's a massive. I was going to talk about this in a bit, but there's a massive heat wave all over Europe. Italians are being told not to go to work. And Sarah has dropped in a £2 super chat. Thank you towards the Glastonbury Recovery Fund. Thank you so much, Sarah. I needed that. The malicious says, and indeed, where to start, Vendetta? Yeah, says Pete's Music. Indeed. So, will this deal hold in DRC? Or just collapse like every previous one?
I think this will give maybe a couple of years peace, but this is a permanent. This isn't permanent.
It's not permanent. No, I don't think so.
Like I say, you cannot do a peace deal that does not resolve the underlying issues that started this conflict in the first place, and just expect to go, "Hey guys, we've got this peace deal. You know, we've solved it." No, it's laughable. Laughable.
Another story. I don't know if you picked up on this, but Canada's caved to Trump about this tech tax. So there's supposed to be a tech tax, not a tic tac, not tactics, but a tech tax, which was going to be on like Facebook and Shitter and all those platforms, and this one, and it was going to bring in $7 billion of tax for the Canadian economy, and they've decided to drop it. The digital services tax decided to drop it. White House has celebrated total victory. Facebook, Amazon, Google off the hook again. So Carney flinched.
Again, this is it's what have they got in return? I do not think Canada would just drop this, given how Carney has been so far. Like I think Carney has gotten something from this. He is not being very loud about it, and I think so strategically. So he's dropped something in return for Donald doing something, and I wouldn't be surprised if this turn around and say, well, if you undo this, we're just going to put this tech tax back in place. I think they've gotten something from it, because why would you drop something like this? They've got to have had some concession from America. I just don't think the Canadians are being, shall we say, very loud about what it is they exactly got.
They might not have got any concessions. Just Trump was threatening to end trade talks immediately, wasn't he? Calling the tax an attack on America. Anyway,
I think they got something, because there's you look at how Canada has been, with all this, how they've been conducting these negotiations. They wouldn't just climb down like that. I don't think they would, given how they've been sort of reacting so far.
Well, maybe we'll find out at some point, but at the moment it seems like Trump's on a bit of a winning streak, unfortunately, in the Supreme Court, and then with this peace deal with the DRC, the big bastard bill going through, and this as well. It seems a little bit unstoppable, unfortunately. I'm still waiting for the MAGA lot to realize that he's a terrible person and rise up and kick his ass, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So Paetongtarn Shinawatra, who is the Prime Minister of Thailand, has been caught on tape calling a guy called Hun Sen her uncle, and criticizing the Thai military. And this is Cambodia's disgraced former politician, Hun Sen. I think he's a former politician, but this has led to border tension, national outrage, protesters calling her a traitor, and her coalition in the parliament in Thailand collapsing. Although Hun Sen is a Cambodian politician, but he was a former military officer who serves as president of the Senate at the moment. So that's who he is next door. And obviously a bit of xenophobia in this, the Thais and the Cambodians have never really got along.
Seen eye to eye, yeah.
Have you heard of Angkor Wat? Do you know Angkor Wat in Cambodia?
I missed out on an opportunity to go. Couple of last year, in fact, to go to Angkor Wat. Wish I had gone for it because it was the JCI conference was in Cambodia.
Okay. Well, the town near Angkor Wat is called Siem Reap, as in Siam Reap, as in Siamese, as in Thai, and Reap means defeated. So the town, the city is called Thailand Defeated. It's a bit like the Hindu Kush, the mountains. It means killer of Hindus. Yeah. These countries don't get along. What can I say? So yeah, the Constitutional Court in Thailand is considering suspending her. And is this scandal about diplomacy? Is it about xenophobia, racism towards Cambodia? I mean, they are next door neighbors. Or is it just misogyny because she's a woman?
Again, it is in the East. That is still quite a significant thing over there. So I wouldn't put it down to that. But I would put it down to that explanation, to be honest.
Well, I hope it doesn't end in another military coup because that's the last thing Thailand needs right now. We've got another super chat comment from Kieran. Thank you very much, Kieran. That's very kind of you. When you get a win over the golf court, Mugabe, you keep quiet about it. What? So we just don't? Yeah, that's probably good advice, isn't it? When we get a win, just don't tell him because he won't know. He won't know. Tommy's saying, I feel sorry for anyone working in the kitchen restaurant in this heat wave. Yeah, fucking hell, man, I can imagine. Although I did come into a Starbucks yesterday and it was incredibly well conditioned, air conditioned, which was good because I needed the loo. So you wanted to talk about Azerbaijan?
Yes.
They've raided Sputnik. Sputnik. Tell us more about what's happened here.
Oh, wow. See, most people remember who have been following Geoscope now. We started Geoscope just after Azerbaijan moved in to take Nagorno-Karabakh.
Nagorno-Karabakh.
Yeah, that's it. And of course, they killed Russian peacekeepers in the process of doing that.
They did.
You may remember that. And since then, Russia has been desperate to try and reassert any authority and control in this area. And of course, as we all very well know, Russia has a big propaganda machine where it pumps out all this misinformation through things like RT, Sputnik, funding,
So just explain what Sputnik is, because people might be thinking it's a satellite.
Yeah, so Sputnik is the other sort of state-controlled Russian media apparatus that they've got there. And they basically decided to raid Sputnik because they've been putting out some very, very anti-government stories.
Anti-Azerbaijani government, yeah.
About the Azerbaijani government. So they've just gone, no, we're going to raid this all. And they've accused pretty much all the Russian employees working there of being FSB agents.
Yeah, the editor-in-chief's been detained. Kremlin's called it an unfriendly act, but this is a follow-on from the plane that was down. There was an Azerbaijani plane that flying over the Caspian. It crash landed in Kazakhstan. Turned out to have been shot down by a Russian rocket. So since then, I mean, and something else Azerbaijan's done. It's cancelled Russian cultural events in Azerbaijan. So just to talk a little bit about the history of the place. So Azerbaijan was actually one of the 15 USSR states back in the day. No, actually, there were more. Sorry, Soviet republics. It was one of the 15. There were actually more than 15 because there was places like Chechnya had its own SSR and Dagestan had its own SSR or whatever. So there were quite a few of them. But when the USSR collapsed, it split into 15 countries. And Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia clustered together there on the west bank of near the west bank of the Caspian Sea. And I mean, the Russians do not like it when culturally, politically, economically, these countries try and pull away from Moscow because they still have that imperialist mindset that they are our possessions.
Really want to keep control of that region. Russia considers that all those countries, all those countries around the sort of the Caspian, they sort of really still consider a lot of those countries
Russia.
pretty much either part of Russia or needed for their interests. So there is a uneasy friendship, shall we say, between a lot of these countries when it comes to this. And we've talked about this on here. I've suspected a lot of time that I'm surprised Dagestan hasn't erupted because of this war in Ukraine. You look at Chechnya, the guy who's running Chechnya, if he dies, Chechnya could just go off like a match, because
I hope it does.
They are all terrified of him, but they ain't all terrified of each other.
No.
So that will be a big situation for Putin, especially when everything's all in Ukraine.
Can I take that back? That was a bit flippant saying. I mean, like, I hope that things change for the better. I don't mean everyone having a fucking civil war. I don't just to make it very clear, I don't want a civil war in Chechnya. But yeah, the Georgians tried to pull away from the USSR, from Moscow, in 2008, and the then leader Saakashvili was talking about joining NATO, joining the EU. So what did fucking Moscow do? Well, they sent the troops in and they annexed a third of the entire country. I mean, Georgia's not that big a country anyway. It's nowhere near as big as Ukraine. And they took South Ossetia and Abkhazia from them. They weren't there for the Armenians. So as Ollie just mentioned before, there was an exclave of Armenia in Azerbaijan called Nagorno-Karabakh. And there was a bit of a deal, a peacekeeping deal that the Russians were just keeping in place. But then, once the Russians were very distracted in what was happening in Ukraine, the Azerbaijanis were like, fuck it, we're having this back.
We're going for it.
We're going it, and all of the ethnic Armenians who lived in this exclave were all forcibly relocated into Armenia proper. And so the Armenians are pissed with the Russians for not being there. The Azerbaijanis, now the Armenians are Christian, the Azerbaijanis are Muslim, and the Azerbaijanis have a good relationship with the Turks on the other side in Turkey, and vice versa. And so they're helping each other out. And obviously there is a very, very deep and historic hatred between the Armenians and the Turkish, quite justifiably, as there was a fucking huge massacre in World War One of Armenian people, and Turkey won't even acknowledge that it did it. Like, if you write about it in a magazine or a book or a website, you can be thrown in jail in Turkey. Like, that is... It's not great. Not great. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Tories abstained on the welfare vote. If they had voted against the bill, it would have been lost, says Paula. Oh, what did I didn't actually get the numbers before I came on. I was too busy seeing what else happened. It was there was a bill to kill. There was a bill to kill. There was an amendment to kill the bill. So I was going to say there was a bill to kill the amendment. There was an amendment to kill the bill, which was rejected, but 42 Labour MPs voted for it. The second reading of the welfare bill, it passed with 335 votes for and 260 against. That doesn't add up with the Tories all vote. If all the Tories abstained, it should have been not as many against. So, yeah. Majority is 75, anyway. Not great. Well, no, it's good that it's gone through. I guess there needs to be some reforms, but I'm glad that the whole PIP parts of it have been taken out. Right, we've only got about 10 minutes left, so we better smash through the last few topics.
Oh, yeah.
Iran has said that the International Atomic Agency is broken. The UN nuclear watchdog has been compromised, they say. And the IAEA chief, Rafael Grossi, has been accused of double standards. And Iran is claiming that 935 Iranians were killed in the US Israeli airstrikes on the country. And and it's that they're refusing to allow inspections now And what's the point of an International Atomic Agency if they can't go?
Yeah.
Check this shit out.
I think what is going to end up happening is that Trump is going to put an Iran nuclear deal 2.0 together. And basically it's going to be the exact same deal, except instead of Obama and Obama taking all the credit for signing this amazing deal, Trump's going to do it.
Yeah.
I think that is what's going to happen now. I can't see into the future, but I think that's honestly what's going to happen. I honestly think that is what's going to happen.
For my dissertation at university, I wrote about American gun policy, and I got a 2-1. And a mate of mine was also doing politics at another university, but he had a year out in America, and he'd come back, and not a year out, but part of the course. He was doing American studies, and he asked if he could have a read of my dissertation to see, get some talking points, whatever. And he just copied it, and he got a first. And this is before you could check whether people copied shit or not. But yeah, that was always irked me that he got a first for my fucking dissertation. Anyway, but yeah, I don't like it when people fucking copy your shit and just change your name. Bastards. Anyway, so climate change. We've got 5 minutes left. Climate change. Earth's on fire.
Yeah.
And drowning.
Pretty much. It's
and melting. All at the same time, New South Wales in Australia's been hit by an insane storm, leaving 30,000 households without power, evacuations in coastal towns. Conditions are looking like they're going to worsen overnight tonight. In Europe, record heat in Spain, 46 degrees. Portugal hit 46.6 degrees. Like I said earlier, Italy's banned working outdoors because it's so hot. Schools are closed across France. Paris is on max alert. The Eiffel Tower has been shut. And there are wildfires in Sicily and Turkey. So, how is this not the number one global emergency, Ollie?
Well, it's not just really hot temperatures at the moment in Europe. Apparently, we've got really low temperatures in places like Argentina and South America, apparently. Again, this is another byproduct of global warming.
Yeah.
Because you're getting such cold temperatures. Because obviously, if it's warm somewhere, again, climate stuff, it ends up being really cold in another area. And that obviously negatively affects somewhere like South America, which is its entire ecology is a lot more used to having a lot warmer temperatures and not having this colder temperature. So yeah, it's not going well at all, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I mean, I know your Durham Council, with what's going on with your reform councillors kicking into touch all the net zero stuff, considering that I think Durham Council is one of the most getting close to carbon neutral councils. I think you were expecting to be the first or something like that if you had continued with those policies.
Loads of wind farms off the Durham coast. There's this house is 100% renewable.
Because I think you were something like 80, you had 80,000 tons in the early 2000s, and now it's something in the low 30s, high 29s, something like that. So that's a lot of carbon to get rid of in a 15-year period.
Isn't there a refit council where the leader has resigned and the deputy leader's only 18 years old?
Yep.
So I think the same thing's going to happen here in Durham. I think that Andrew Husband is the leader.
And Darren Grimes is going to be leader.
He owes fucking creditors and the taxman £1 million that he hasn't got. So, and then along comes Darren Grimes, crafty wank, and he could be the leader. He could be the leader of Durham County Council.
Do you know about the register of interest stuff that's been going on?
No.
Not even putting in their register of interest which party they are affiliated with. I kid you not.
They're so incompetent. I'm trying to do a show on Thursdays. I want to do a show called Reform Watch UK, and it's going to be basically talking about what the Reform are doing in all these different councils and how they're fucking it up. Loads of really good information from the Private Eye and elsewhere. I've been talking to Jack Darce, who's a Liberal. He was a Liberal councillor down in the south somewhere, and seeing because he runs reformwatch.uk. I think he's got the URL on that. So he's put together the website. So hopefully coming soon, show on here on this channel. Reform Watch UK. Paula Thomas, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. The issue we need to keep an eye on is wet bulb temperature. If that goes above 34 degrees, you can't cool down by sweating. Yeah, and we don't have any air conditioning in this country because we're not needed up to this point. For the first 10,000 years of its existence as a place where humans live, this rock here in the Atlantic Ocean has pretty much been pretty temperate.
That Sarah's just reminded me of the other fun thing. Did you see the Reform councillor get escorted out of the Pride event and then got arrested?
Yeah, they got arrested, didn't they? Yeah.
Damage.
Yeah. Was it a woman? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, I did see that. Fucking nanas. Well, it's the Durham Miners Gala this weekend, and the unions they wrote this amazing letter about refuck, which I'll read out on one of the shows, I think, at some point. So maybe I'll do it. But if I do a show on Thursday, Refuck UK, I might just do it on my own if Jack's not available. But I want to go through some of this mad shit that they've done already because it's
I've done plenty of videos about the subject if you want that for research. But speaking of unions, I am really pissed off at the RMT. Really pissed off because they passed a motion at their conference calling for Ukraine to be disarmed. So I am not best pleased at the RMT at the moment.
They supported Brexit as well, don't forget. I mean, as much as I kind of like admire Mick Lynch as a straight talking guy who gets his point across, at the same time, him and the young guy,
he's had some really bad comments about Ukraine as well. Yeah.
GHK, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, my friend. Politicians only wake up when the consequences hit their voters or them. Look at the chemist Thatcher and skin cancer affected Reagan, CFCs. Well, I agree to a certain extent. It does. They don't. I think a better example rather than CFCs would be when Rock Hudson, who was a really good friend of the Reagans, admitted that he had AIDS and he was dying. And that actually finally got Ronald Reagan to go, oh shit, maybe we should do something about this AIDS epidemic. As for Thatcher's interest in CFCs and getting rid of them, yeah, that did come from her chemistry background. And I'm glad that her government did. This is the one nice thing I can say about fucking Thatcher is that at least the British government at the time led the worldwide banning of CFCs. And it's a mark of shame, I think, that our government since haven't had the gumption to actually go ahead and say, look, we're going to lead the world on this. And you talk to right-wing politicians and they'll say, oh, but China aren't doing anything. Oh, India, what about India? They're not doing anything. And I'm like, fuck off. Like, so what? It's just like the shittest excuse I could possibly imagine. It's like getting pulled over for speeding and going, oh, well, some other people are speeding at the same time, I'm sure. So let me off. You either do all the murders or you do none of them. There's nothing in between. And I'm like, we should be leading the world. We should be showing the rest of the world how fucking ridiculously profitable it is to make your own energy and not rely on anyone else. Because even in countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, you might think, oh, yeah, they must produce all their energy, right? Because they've got all that oil. But oftentimes, I mean, the refineries might be owned by American or British companies or Dutch companies. The machinery that is used to distillate the oil isn't necessarily owned by their state. It wasn't invented there. They can't get the spare parts. So if something breaks, they have to buy things from America to get their oil. Do you know what I mean? It's not self-sufficient. Not once it starts going, it's like, okay, cool, it's fine now forever. I mean, we get our wind turbines from like Siemens, don't we? We're German. But once it's going, great for 20 years. Fantastic stuff. And we could be doing more stuff with solar, more stuff with tidal power. I know they've been doing some experimentation that's quite promising up in Scotland. But really, it's the one thing that I think that our government should just be like, this could be the next industrial revolution. Because we absolutely fumbled the ball in the digital revolution. Because we had the first computers. We had like Manchester Mark 1. We had obviously the difference engine, the fucking Charles Babbage's different engine a very, very, very long time ago with Ada Lovelace's fucking programming. But yeah, I mean, we ended up not leading the world in computers when we absolutely could have done. We had Sinclair, we had Amstrads, and again, we dropped the ball on that one. And this is the one where we could just say, no, fuck it, let's just do our own thing, and we're just absolutely not. Pick one thing that you're good at and just do it as much as possible. Britain's got some of the windiest oceans in the fucking world. It's got some of the biggest tidal ranges in the world. And yes, it's not as sunny as other countries, but actually that's a good thing because the hotter solar panels get, the less efficient they are. But whatever. Anyway, sorry, I'm whistling on, and you guys need to go and watch our friend Maximilian on his stream. So, Ollie, have you got anything else to say before we
No, that's me. I have just put a link in the chat. If you want to learn more about the RMT stuff that I mentioned, again, there's a channel called Dylan Burns. He covered this quite extensively, what went on at the RMT recently, and basically saying Russian talking points about disarming Ukraine, etc. Go give it a watch. It's a very, very good video about that subject. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, if you keep watching, you'll automatically get shunted over to Max's, a bit of a raid party. If you got something else to do, I will put in the chat. This is the Kate Nash video that I shot at the weekend at Glastonbury. She played the left field stage and she did German. I put all the subtitles on it. It took a long time to put the subtitles on, Ollie. Like, automatic subtitles do not like music. They do not like music, and especially stuff where there's a lot of speaking going on. So yeah, if you watch this, put the subtitles on, follow along. It's a banger of a track, and there's a big advert at the end of it for Not In My Name, which we're encouraging all cis women to sign up to. It's on about 33,000 signatures at the moment, and we're hoping to get up to 100,000 signatures on that particular petition. So until next time, Ollie, thank you so much. You are an absolute legend for coming on and chatting.
Thank you very much.
Going down around the world. It's too much stuff. There's too much stuff going on. And you watching this, you're awesome too. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the super chats. I'll be back at 9 o'clock in the morning with Morning Brew. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.
Bye.